Oh my god, what is...
Hello, and welcome to Jarviskjir Here Be Heroes. New overlay. It's the same overlay, there's just an extra camera. Down there, we have Erin. I love having Erin in my D&D games. She is easily one of my top 3 players all time.
Top 3? What the fuck?
Look, people spend all their lives training to get third.
You're just trying to spare Neil's feelings, let's be honest here.
That is a too close to home laugh. That's what that is. Let's change the topic to.
Can we just be clear? Who's your first?
Oh no, I just have a top 3. That's how it works. And I don't know who the third. Oh no, I know who the third is. It's Neil, it's Erin, and it's Nox, who has never been on the stream, although I have invited her many a time. But she's
Dean's got to be upset that he's not in that top 3.
Dean?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe if Dean was fucking here, he'd be in the top 3.
Maybe.
So, hey, welcome to our feel good D&D stream. Nothing but love. Where we will see what happened last time. I was told to be like Dateline, Slate Cove. Last time, the Grey Fists had to deal with a band of rogue goblins that were led by a mysterious, cackling, laughing goblin. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm losing my voice.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that?
You know what? I appreciated the effort right up until that point, and it's.
Okay. I realized I could have kept doing it, but I realized I'm gonna not have my voice tomorrow, and I don't want that.
You need that. Kind of need that.
But basically, typical low-level job, goblins. Typical low-level job, goblins. Only these goblins weren't attacking people; they were pranking people, but in a goblin way, where the pranks still were terrible and led to people's lives being worse. You ended up following the goblin trail because you have a ranger, and that's pretty much why. You nearly died to some wild boars. You nearly Tobias nearly got kidnapped by goblins. You ended up very narrowly talking with the goblins. It was very close to just destroying them, figuring out that their leader is something strange, and that they agreed to leave if you dealt with a crystal monster on the top of this hill, which you did. You dealt with this strange crystal infection that you made completely inert via destroying a bear that was infected by it. And that's where the stream left off. A couple of hours after you climbed up, because you've been taking some time to rest, taking some time to explore. You're up there in the cave because it's safe from the whistling, billowing, snowy wind up there. And I imagine you're gonna start climbing down.
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Yeah.
Now let's see who slips and falls.
Athletics rolls with advantage because Virik did put a rope down. If you want to use acrobatics, you can. You don't have advantage if you do so. Erin, you don't roll anything. You're not here.
Where's your advantage?
I'll take it.
Acrobatics.
I don't.
Acrobatics doesn't have
don't.
advantage.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fair point.
You didn't.
I basically fuck the rope, jump.
Yeah, it's literally like I can imagine Virik, he tied the rope, so he's checks it's good, and then just jumps off.
Pretty much.
Which goes very well. I mean, ultimately, you've already climbed up this, and you climbed up it. Well, actually, Virik jumped up this rocky cliffside, but you climb. Those two climb down the rope. It's not that hard to do, aside from the wind, which is a slight factor, but it's more annoying than if you were higher up, which you can't be here. Then it would be seriously dangerous. But you all climb down brilliantly, but then you immediately notice something. You go down to that giant bridge. The goblin camp there is gone.
Wait, gone?
Vanished.
Wait, what?
Oh,
that's
unexpected.
No trace?
Why don't you give me investigation checks?
What?
Would I be able to roll survival?
Yes! I would entirely allow survival.
Yep. They're gone.
Could
That's
I then
right.
also roll survival?
Yeah,
as
survival's a real good one for this one as well.
Slightly better
Oh, no,
skill
not
for
for
me.
It's one of those things where, like, Viric's just like, what?
It's still too bright out here.
Yeah. Okay, fair. You look around, and the two of you who are more attuned to the earth, it looks like they've completely vanished, but there's still some evidence that they actually tent pegs and the remains of a fire very barely.
We're here. And
It
we're
looks
not
like they, not that they Virik might have thought that it was some kind of illusion or something for a split second of they were never real. You gotta understand, there's a lot more weird shit that goes on in the Underdark.
Very weird.
You two figure out that they must have just took your deal quite literally and started packing up the second you left, and you can actually see their trail because they're goblins, they're light and nimble, but they're also carrying a bunch of things, so they've left quite an easy to follow trail in the snow eastwards, which is away from the town. So it's even one of those things where Barut, whose eyes are more attuned to seeing through the snow than most, takes a moment to concentrate and kind of extends his vision beyond what most mortals can. And you can see they don't turn around or anything. Their track goes eastwards, and they're someone else's problem now.
Well,
Mission
we didn't
accomplished.
Yeah, do you mean we didn't actually have to uphold our end of the deal?
I mean,
Oh,
we did. Never know
Yes.
what people know, whether they had scouts watching us or anything like that.
That's true.
Never
Good
know.
point.
It's well,
Oh, I get to
That's
keep the
simple.
crystal. And I put it in my backpack again.
yeah. And what do you say we head back down and speak with Corpse Flower and maybe let him know that the goblins have moved on, and then we can go and
Get paid.
well, yes, get paid. He's the one who commissioned us, as it were.
Yeah.
So then we can head back. I think job well done, everybody. We only almost died twice, three times, including the kidnapping.
None
Close.
of whom are actually hired targets.
Yeah. Yes. Job well done, everybody. I think it's safe to head back now and receive payment for our near deaths.
Tobias, give me a
Agreed.
survival roll with advantage for the tracking back. Just how fast you do it. You actually get back to Slate Cove within the evening. It's dark when you get back, but it's one of those things where you might as well keep pushing. You can already see the torchlight of the edge of the town. You might as well keep going. When you approach this northeast side of Slate Cove, you come up to the tavern that you saw before, that you actually fought outside of. Being a Northman tavern, it's a very open plan. You can already look inside. It doesn't really have glass windows. It just has sort of wooden shutters. You can look inside and you can actually see Corpse Flower there, drinking and chatting to some of the other Northmen there. For a tiefling, looking very much at home, very much belonging, very much accepted in this community, which is nice to see or troubling to see, depending on how racist you are.
Warms the heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also quite nice because none of you have spent a night in a tavern for a little while, and there is immediately the warm music of skalds playing songs. There's the warm heat. There's the smell of some kind of rich hunting stew. It's quite pleasant when you kind of maybe stand in the doorway looking in for a moment.
Yeah, let's head on in.
I suppose so.
And I'll look to Baruit here as we walk in and be like, if you're looking for culture, this is a prime example of the hospitality of the North.
Really?
Virik would actually laugh at that and then just continue walking.
Baruch, give me a dex save.
Oh, fuck.
Oh!
You walk in, and you're kind of slightly overwhelmed. You haven't spent so much time in Slate Cove that a very rural tavern like this, that's just very cultured, as he's saying, is a lot to look at. And you managed to catch just in time a woman dancing on a table near you, sort of kicking, and managed to duck back quick enough to not be kicked in the head.
Okay.
It kind of brings like a laugh from a group of bearded men, which makes Corpseflower turn around and he's like, the hunters have returned. And he kind of gets up, he hasn't got his armor actually, his armor is beside him. And to all of you, like the quality of his clothing so much higher because it's not been made here. It's clearly been made somewhere else, and it's just very nice quality. Whereas like Northmen don't have the best tailoring techniques in the world. He kind of walks up with like a shot, actually, like a shot glass in hand, and kind of raises it and downs some pale liquid, and goes, "I trust that you dealt with the problem."
Yes. There was more of a problem than we expected, though. A creature with crystals embedded in its skin in the cave that the goblins called home. The goblins, well, they're not around here anymore.
That's what I was looking for. And he kind of looks at all of you, but of course he has no like pupils or irises, so it's a very unsettling experience. And he kind of waves you over to the bar and picks up what is an unmarked bottle of pale liquor and pours 4 shots into little wooden shot glasses, and will hand one to each of you and be like, "Before I give you your gold, I will give you your reward." And
Varys gonna have a quick look around to see if anyone other than him is watching.
There are quite a few people here, yeah.
Okay.
But it's kind of dark and gloomy. I mean,
yeah, I'll do.
You could do a
a very quick little. I won't care if he sees, but I'll try and make it so other people can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine. You don't do a stealth roll or anything throughout. He maybe notices. Again, it's really hard to see where he's looking.
The thing is, like, he also kind of figured it out last time anyway.
I'm pretty sure, like, he probably figured it out last time.
Yeah, you were struggling in the sun.
Struggling in the sun, I mentioned about, so do the elves didn't dislike his people too?
Yeah.
Is the other thing
he
I
might
said.
not know that you're a drow, but he knows something's up.
Yeah.
It seems he either doesn't really realize or care. And in either case...
Yeah, you're fine.
As an outsider himself.
Vyric's like, he's strange too. I'm okay with this.
Yes. He'll sort of go to his bag, which is with his armor, which is like beside his bar stool, and he'll count out 100 gold pieces, and they are actually, interestingly, unlike the other job, they're not all Slate Cove. Well, actually, they're not all of the sort of mint here. Some of them are much more Bastilian coins. Most of the coins here actually are High Elven that are used in Slate Cove. If I remember saying yesterday, or last week, but a lot more like sort of just Bastilian coins. But he kind of goes and hands the 100 gold to Barut, and gives you a nod and says that you should probably get back to your masters. But if you want to drink, I'm here most evenings unless I need to save the innocent folk of the town.
Well, we might be back then. And Barut's gonna bow, but it's gonna be less of a full bow as he does in more, formal situations. It's very much just a quick,
Yeah.
and more of a nod that brings the body with it.
I get you.
Yeah.
And you head out.
Go for the full handshake before he leaves. Just
He'll
handshake,
absolutely give that. Yeah, he'll
and
give you
then
a
do the
handshake.
same sort of little nod and then leave as well.
Now here's the question: does Toby go in for the bro hug?
Oh, man, I was just about to say, while this is happening, like, Toby's already at the bar getting more drinks for him to friends. And, like...
Turns. with
Because it's,
mugs.
like, nighttime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I assumed we were just staying here. So it's like... Turn and, like...
Do you have to-go mugs?
I mean, if you're handing me a drink, I'll take the drink.
It's one of the things where you're starting to leave. Tobias turns around with mugs of probably beer and ale and things.
Whatever they've got on tap.
Yeah. Bet more variety than the castle.
Varric's down for it.
Yeah. Well, at that point, let's sit down and have a drink. Since you were gracious enough to bring them forward.
Yeah, well...
Goldflower will sit down with you too. I mean, you might as well. You're kind of belong together. Any sort of chatting?
I would have got something for him as well. I'm not just gonna be like, here's for
yeah, exactly. That's why I assume.
My random guy.
Yeah, that's why.
This table.
Yeah. If we're sitting with him, I'm actually going to ask him questions about Bastilian and just, ask about the culture there, because I've been interested and I'd actually be speaking with him ideally in
the native language,
Whoa.
The language of the vast curse.
I was going to say that Varric would be very interested too, but Varric has no idea what the fuck you're saying.
I'm just asking him in Infernal if he'd be okay talking with me about it.
He's one of those things. We're not necessarily going to roleplay this whole conversation.
No.
But he is incredibly welcoming to talking about his home, and he sort of explains that he wasn't born there. He was brought there as a child. But it is a place. It's not very welcoming, not very comforting like Slate Cove is. Stuff like that.
And that's kind of what I'm going to be asking, is more about the actual culture of it and how it operates and things like that. And I am actually going to switch to common once. Once he's okay talking about it, I'll be, is it okay in common? And if he's okay with that, then I'll.
He's not ashamed of who he is.
Cool. It's more just like I wasn't sure if he'd be okay talking about it because the culture might be completely different. And
for sure, I mean, it is.
You never know. Yeah. Burrow wouldn't know that though.
No.
So
Yeah. And you spend the evening drinking, making merry, joking, probably talking about the couple of days of hunting goblins and making merry. Do you actually stay here, or do you stumble back to Chasmguard?
Probably stumble back.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah. We don't need to fire.
I'm gonna walk up to the counter and just do you sell bottles of wine here?
Yeah.
Just entire bottles. Take.
2 gold.
Okay, I'll have one of those. And I plop down 2 gold.
Okay. like he has never seen someone do that before. He gets an unmarked bottle with twine wrapped around it and stuff, and dung kind of thing.
Just stuff it in my bag and leave with everyone else.
Yeah.
If I see you do that, I'm actually gonna come over and pick up a second one. But I'm gonna ask him if he has any high quality stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, everything we sell is high quality. What are you doing?
Of course. What I mean is higher quality than your standard.
You're looking for that elven piss?
That's the idea. Not.
Yeah, we got some of that.
Yeah. How much?
Donk. That'd also be 2 gold.
Cool. I will take the 2 gold and give it to him.
I'm gonna pull it back out and say, "Can I trade this for one of those?"
No accounting for taste.
Grab that, put it in my bag.
Because the elven bottles are very well it was this vineyard, this vintage.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah.
And I'm gonna put mine in my bag. And
yeah, of course. And actually, both of these bottles, they're the same company.
Cool.
A vineyard, and it is a vineyard on the Old King's Road. With that, you stumble back to Chasmguard very late at night. You let yourselves in, and you crash. Most likely, very much.
Gonna get some reading done. Some not very good reading. Retention is not there, but just
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you go to bed. You wake up tomorrow to the sounds of slightly more activity. Unless someone else was training, you didn't really hear much from here, but your sort of window in this room goes out into the training yard. It sounds like you hear people sort of going to and fro, which is a little new. And you're very much aware of it because you're mostly all hungover. A mixture of hungover and also just exhausted from like a long trek. So
Yeah.
not great. Barut's probably the first one sort of getting up and hanging out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm
I'm out
annoyed
there.
that his like rest time, like he's done his trance. He's now wanting to just relax. He's like, it's really annoying.
Yeah, like just
What's going on out there?
like fold your ears in.
Yeah. Exactly.
When you go upstairs, Barut, there are 3 people in the main chamber of Chasmguard you have never seen before. There is a white-haired woman who is polishing a suit of sort of chainmail armor with some armor oil, and there's a man, a Northman, who is polishing some shoes, and there's another one sitting kind of slightly behind him who has spectacles, who is writing.
Okay. I'm going to approach and say, hello, I don't believe we've had the pleasure of meeting. My name is Burwitt. I'm one of the newer recruits here.
The woman... The 2 men look to the woman, first of all, immediately. And she's like, oh, okay. A pleasure to meet you. Well, my name's Aaron. This is Caster, and this is Barnum. Sort of points to them. Caster is the one with the glasses, Barnum is the one polishing the shoes, and he kind of goes like, oof.
Nice to meet all of you. What brings you to Chasmgar?
Oh, we were just coming back with Lady Ornhelm.
Lady Ornhelm. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her either. Well, this is a special day. And I'm gonna sit down. Is there like where they are? Is there like
There's like
main hall,
benches.
Right? Yeah. I'm gonna sit down on one of the benches and I'm gonna pull out my notebook and I'm gonna say, so where are you all from?
Oh, further north, Othenfur.
Oh, very interesting. And
I can picture it. Oh, sorry, right?
and what brought you here?
Miss Ornhelm.
Very interesting. So, tell me about Othenfur.
It's that's when the caster who has the book, and yeah, I know, chat. I know I went in the wrong order with them. Caster kind of like perks up a bit and kind of like lowers his book, and goes, well, it's a very interesting, well, a war recently tore up the land, and
Really?
generations and generations of history are lost. We came down to, well, after all of that, to escape the fires of Ardenborg, but now that war's ended, and very, very exciting.
That's excellent news. It's a tragedy about the history being lost, though. That's quite upsetting.
Well, our stories will be told in song, for as long as words are remembered.
Well,
So,
I wish the songs be accurate and tell your tale true.
he gives like a slightly like genuine nod, which is when Hull Giant kind of just comes out of the mess hall and is like, "Ah, Barut! I see that you are back, most likely with your companions."
Absolutely.
Yes.
They are still downstairs resting, I believe, at this point.
I was gonna say, like during that whole conversation, what you see at the end of the hallway is Varric normally walks around the castle without his mask or anything on. So he walks around the corner, immediately turns around, back around the corner, mask on, blink, and then back around the corner again.
Fair enough.
Hopefully they didn't see anything.
They're
all kind of preoccupied. So yeah.
Good.
I have them very enthralled with conversation, so yeah, clearly master wordsmith over here.
I see that you've found the entourage of Ornhelm.
Yes, I was just speaking with them about Othenfur, their home, and the interesting events that were recently taking place, and all of that as well. And Brewitt's going to pull out the pouch of gold and walk over to him and place it in his hands and say, this is the amount that we received for our job with the goblins.
A contract completed. Good man.
Yes, sir. And interesting aspects to that job. The goblins themselves actually vacated after we agreed to take care of a sharded monster in a cave where they had been taking up residence, but we convinced them to leave if we killed the monster, and they have done. The creature appeared to be taken control of for perhaps, well, it's hard to say, something outside of its mind, but not sure what. It had crystals embedded in it. Very interesting. We actually have some of those crystals for research purposes as well.
That sounds like something the elves would appreciate. I'm just glad that you saved the day, and kind of like punches you in the arm.
It hurts a lot.
Yeah.
And I try and hide, but it's not.
And he'll
very-
split back, I believe, 80 gold back to you.
And so I'll just hold on to that 80 for the moment, and I'll split it with everybody else when I see them.
So Varric would walk up at that point as well.
Ah, Virik.
Just sort of one of those sort of awkward, just walk up and just sort of.
Like you're joining a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wallflower, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's Toby?
If you're asking me, he's asleep.
No, I'm asking.
No,
Virik.
but yeah, I was gonna.
No, what I would do is I would literally do one of those. All right, sleep. Probably still asleep.
Probably still asleep. Okay, well, fair enough. And
I
I'm gonna
forgot
hand.
sleep was a thing for a second.
I'm gonna hand you 20 gold out of that
Ooh.
80, and I'm gonna hold on to the rest for the moment and wait for Tobias to come. But like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna talk to them more about Othenfer and see
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going on.
yeah. I mean, at
Yeah.
some point, if Ornhelm wants to show up from either her room in the castle or I was assuming the mead hall.
Yeah.
She can.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll come up and I'll collect my armor. So I walk in. You see a woman with long, dark brown hair, tribal face tattoos. She probably actually is still armed to the nines, even though her armor is currently being worked on.
It's like you'd have like a gambeson and stuff, which is essentially what, if D&D was more realistic, leather armor would be. But
So she has a giant greatsword, of course, a heavy crossbow, a few javelins, some of which she's carrying like over her arm, and the other one's like carrying like a cup of mead or whatever it may be. And just approaches the young woman polishing the armor, and she asks if it's been done yet.
yes, miss, and sort of will actually like get up and start putting it on you.
I sit down all the javelins. Somewhere, wherever they'll fit.
Wherever. And after like a couple of like a minute, she like sort of straps you back into the chainmail.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
It looks fantastic.
Thank you, miss.
I'll point out like a couple javelins that are like broken that need fixing as well.
Absolutely, and they sort of just start, fixing up with sort of probably tar and things, or getting you wood, and just start doing the odd jobs. that you're doing.
The man that's there, Ollie, the one who's in charge. What's his name again?
A hurl giant, Rossum
Okay.
hurl giant.
Awesome. I will like greet him and like kind of like give him like the forearm grab,
Yeah,
kind of like typical like bro, like half hug.
absolutely. And like, Ornhelm, you should meet Barut and Virik, our newest recruits. There's another one as well. He's somewhere.
Should I go wake him?
No, I mean, you completed a contract. You're rightly for sleep. Just make sure he wakes up before the evening. I have something for a lot of you to do.
Will do.
I hope
will
you don't
look
mind
over.
a little babysitting, like looking to Eleanor.
I kind of like look them over. I don't look disappointed, but it's almost like sympathy at these tiny people before
these
me.
elves,
Yes.
frail elves.
Like it's not like overtly condescending, but it's a little like, oh, look at you.
Oh.
And like Pearl Giant leans in, and I believe you took Giant, didn't you? That's one of your languages.
I did.
And Giant is just like, he's the smart one.
In Giant, I'm gonna say thank you.
I will respond like, well, that's good. Like at least he has that going for him, but like not saying it.
Yeah.
That was always kind.
In Giant, I'm gonna respond with, that's what I'm good at, and that's what I'm built for. I understand. I'm not anything special to look at, but I will hopefully be able to give you information that might help keep you alive.
Oh no, it's lovely.
And it's a pleasure to meet you. And I'm gonna say that in common, and I'm gonna bow. And
nice to meet you too.
I will meet that, and actually, I will do it in like an Elvish greeting as well. Like it's very nice. To meet you. Although it's probably very heavily accented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Butchered Elvish. I love it.
Not gonna mention that it's butchered at all,
Yeah.
and just in Elvish, gonna return. Well, thank you very much for the kind greeting as well. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I've had the pleasure of speaking with some of your team, as it were.
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure what to refer to them as in reference to you, because I'm not as familiar with the cultures here. I was actually hoping to ask you that if it was not an impolite question.
Ollie, what would I call them? Probably
That's
not
entirely
material.
up to
Very
you.
Formal.
Entourage is kind of the word I've got in the notes. That's not a very northern name, but that's just what I've been.
Like retainers?
Retainer,
We could just do
entourage.
retainers for now. Yeah.
Yeah, retainers.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Excellent. And Bruin's actually going to pull out his notepad again and just make a note of that. And it's just a very quick scrawled out note, and then back.
While he's doing that, he does that a lot.
Which is funny, Eleanor, because you have a retainer who makes your notes for you.
I imagine that he's making a note.
He's
of me
also making notes about you making notes.
Yeah, and I'm making notes about him making notes. It's going to be a real
Endless
mess.
loop.
At some point. Yeah.
Which one is that? Is that
That's
Caster? or
Caster,
Barton?
yeah. That's
Caster,
Caster.
yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, he's the nerd.
He and I are going to get along really well, I think. But it's, so what brings you to Chasmgard?
Oh, I work here for them. We can kill monsters together and try to make the world a little better.
And I take it we might be aiding you in killing a monster?
No! This evening is the yearly feast at the Baroness's manor, and I want the four of you to represent the Greyfists as the newest recruits get to know the community.
That's far more terrifying, but very interesting.
I'm excited.
Don't worry, the Baroness isn't a monster or anything. Smacks you on the back.
Yeah, and it hurts so badly again. I'm still in so much pain from being knocked down twice.
Yeah, you're like, you're one bruise. One giant bruise.
Yeah. Below here, I'm real messed up, but I'm covered, so no one can tell.
I feel like at this point with Hurl Giant, like, talking so
The
much,
noise
it's
comes
just
down.
impossible for me to remain asleep. So I just, like, step out into the hallway, still just wearing, like, my sleep clothes, basically. Just, like, staggering. My ribs are all kind of, like, purple from the boar situation. You just, like, hear from down the hallway someone, like, hacking up a loogie or something, and I just, like, step into the hall, and I'm like, ugh! Gods! Why, it's so early! And just look and see, like, all these people
All
that I
these
don't
people
recognize.
gathering. Yeah.
It's like, oh... just go back in the room.
No, come back. Come back.
Tobias!
Rustle around.
Come over here.
You just hear some, like, rustling from the hallway, and I come out a little bit more presentable.
Like, you just have your cloak wrapped around you.
Yeah, like I'm just, like, in a house coat, basically.
Yeah,
like, Also, this is probably the first time in a long time you would have seen me with, like, my hair not braided. Like, it got a little rough last night.
Yeah.
About, like, looking just for anything. Just is there any coffee or better yet, any ale
Coffee,
around?
definitely, you would not know what coffee is. It does
Not-
exist.
not-
It's very expensive. It's a dwarven thing, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like one of those things. Best way to ale your hangover, ale.
Ale.
Would I actually maybe have some coffee for my time?
I would totally actually allow you to have like a tiny amount of coffee.
I would have like the smallest amount, but like I wouldn't share it because it's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing and also just like fascinating and
yeah, just super
powerful.
interesting.
Because it like in this kind of setting, it's an alchemical reagent that gives energy.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like the fact that the dwarves are the ones that have it as well.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And what is your name? Tobias?
Oh, yeah, that's me. Who
And
do
are
I
you-
have the pleasure of meeting on such a timely hour this morning?
My name is Elinor Ernhelm. But tell me, are you well?
As well as I can be, just like limping a little down the hallway, touching my ribs.
Yeah, actually, we're probably all just a little bit like off
Yeah.
in terms of walking.
That one just needs a nice cold bath.
Mm.
That'll set him right as rain.
Well, come, let me see.
Kind of like confused it, like skeptically. I'm just like, yeah, I just kind of pull my robe to the side a little bit, and it's just like broken ribs. Like,
Oh yeah, because you got
An
headbutted.
ugly
Like,
bruise.
I got
yeah.
headbutted mercilessly several times by before.
So I will just like place a hand over like where you seem to be like hurting, and you'll notice it glows quite a bit. And I'm not sure if your character's hung over, but if so, I will spend 5 points of my lay on hands to heal that poison,
Yep.
and I will spend the other 5 to heal the HP loss.
Awesome.
Mhm.
How does this affect me?
You instantly wake up. There's even a sort of smell of the cold north winds that sort of emanates the room ever so slightly, and the bruise almost completely disappears.
Awesome. I'm just like, whoa, that's a good trick.
Ha! Showing off.
Like,
I kind of like I'll give him a smile and shrug.
Bruitt's just taking notes of the magic that he saw.
yeah, and then I just look to Peruit, and I'm like, why can't you do that?
And then I just for the sake of being, okay, fair enough. And then I'm just gonna look at Virik because he's still feeling like crap too. And just
Probably
because
got
he's
something
constipated, just gonna tell Virik, feel better already.
I'm okay with this fight. This is a good fight.
That's all I can do.
Hey, that's more than I was expecting when I came out of my door this morning, so...
Is it really morning
Sometimes.
already?
Yes, miss. It is morning.
I should have slept. I say it's taking a sip of the ale that I still have.
These two retainers, are they also both, like, North folk?
There's 3 of them, and yeah, they're all noticeably North folk. Like they all have the sort of tattoos of rites of passage, similar to Ornhelm as well. Like you can all recognize that, at least through the tattoos, that they're.
And what's the, like, relationship with Ornhelm and I guess Othipur and the Slate Cove?
Like pleasant.
Like similar cultures and stuff?
The same culture, just Slate Cove is like actually a town instead of tribes, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she seems pretty friendly with him.
So you go by Lady Othin. Ornhelm, pardon me.
That is a bit formal, but if you want, yes.
No, I'm more curious as to what denotes a ladyship title in the north, just from a curiosity standpoint. I'm as I said, I'm not very familiar with the culture here. That's part of the reason why I'm here.
There's multiple ways to be given a title. Mine was given to me for my efforts in the war.
Well, congratulations on that, and well earned, I assume. Based on your healing talents, I can assume that you aided many.
We lost many.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I don't elaborate on that.
Yeah, there's just like an uncomfortable silence for the humans, and there's sort of like a.
Sorry, I was gonna say there was a very during that conversation, Varric would have been looking very bored until the word war. Wait, what?
During
So,
that
that's when he
uncomfortable,
picks up.
during that uncomfortable silence, Hell Giant's like, "Well, I'll be in my chambers," and sort of goes back up the stairs, making them creak as he does. They're good quality stairs. They don't creak when anyone else goes up them. He's just very dense.
Yeah.
And goes up to the Guildmaster's chambers.
Since Tobias is here now, I'm going to hand him 20 gold, and I'm going to actually pull out another 20 and say we should put this in the pooled fund that we have for supplies and things for everybody. And I'm going to give that
That's a good idea. Yeah.
to him as well. Because we do have that going as well as a third,
I will make a note of that.
fourth, rather, option right now.
We have 21 gold in our global pool now.
Yeah.
Went up by 20 times.
Along with 2 stone scimitars, a shield, and a quarterstaff.
You got a good global pool going, honestly. But and then I'm just gonna turn back to Lady Ornhelm and apologize for bringing up the topic. I'm sorry about that. It's not really my place to ask all these questions, but it is an insatiable curiosity for me about cultural happenings, and I didn't mean to bring up a painful subject if it was.
Oh no, I absolutely understand. Although I'm far more interested in what brings you up here.
Well, exactly that, cultural study.
Yeah, I will say, actually, Ornhelm, can you tell the difference between elves? Yeah, exactly. You can't tell. He's not an. To you, he's just an elf. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they're not super common around here, though. I imagine.
Actually, they meddle with Slate Cove. There is an elvish temple to the south of the town. They kind of try to push their faith a little.
I will say the same thing, although it is more out of being polite and genuine curiosity. How about that?
Yeah. Just cultural interactions. I've traveled all the way from the far east coast of Jarviskjir to discover cultural happenings after leaving my home. And it's been very interesting, very enlightening. I've learned much about humans and dwarves and elves here, as well as the north now, which has been very interesting.
I would say it's a daunting task for you, but you do have time, don't you?
Well, some. Not as much as many elves, I'm sure.
I see. Well, you have chosen a very dangerous area. I hope you don't die.
Me too.
And
They're just giggling in the corner.
Yeah, she will laugh at that, and take a nice swig of her drink and kind of cheers, even though you don't have anything in your hand.
Yeah, it's just sort of.
I'll actually pull out the bottle of the elven wine that I have in my bag and just pop the cork and do a quick swig, put it back on, back in the bag.
It's cheering wine.
Yeah.
The second that he sees Brute pull it out, Varric's like, right line, and he's gonna do the same. He forgot he had it for a second.
Tobias just grumbles and goes into the other room looking for something.
I would have pulled it out and offered it to you if you were looking like you were disgruntled.
Oh no, I mean it's more of a internalized disgruntlement than anything.
Okay. Then I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Well,
Yeah.
it is an early morning, so why don't we finish our drinks and then go for a nice run?
I'd
Very
very
much
much up
okay.
for a run.
Yeah.
Varric's just like, nope. Not having any of that.
Are you planning on running in your armor?
Yes,
I will do the same then.
it's the only appropriate way to practice.
Right.
Varric
So
will go to the training ground.
Yeah, Varric, you just start sort of training. Do you two go and run around the courtyard, or do you leave and run through the town? Either's fine. I was just wondering.
I'd probably just go through the courtyard.
Okay.
I'm just
so
following
that's
what
around the
Yeah.
training ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, then what I'm going to say is while you see Virik training, every now and then you might see like he attacks a little faster, but there's also a little something you're not quite sure if it's out of the corner of your eye or not. But you see a little like shadowy like speed with some of his punches. You see a little bit of a probably just awkward shadow. Like it's just in the corner of your eye. You don't really see it. You're not sure. But yeah, something's going on.
I gotta say,
That was weird about that one.
whenever monks come up, I think of Mac from Always Sunny.
Yeah.
I one day I'm gonna play a monk, and I'm not gonna stop. And Tobias, you mostly just like have actual breakfast.
Yeah, well, that's happening. Like, yeah, when I go to leave, I'm just like, well, as much as I would love to run around outside, I am very hungry, and I also feel kind of weird this morning, so I'm gonna just take a rain check on that one.
Yeah,
but it was very nice meeting you all, and I looked to the retainers, and I'm like, it was nice being present while I met your master. I don't know what the correct term.
Am I still there at that point?
I do look very like patient at you. He's like a very practiced, like, oh, this one, he's a little off. That's okay.
The rest of the day, you can do, all sorts of training, and a little bit of recovering and getting used to things.
I'd probably visit Fireflies as well with the crystal.
Yes,
with only one of
If you were telling me that you were doing that, I would come with you.
I would. I would tell Brute that I'm doing that.
Yeah. Then I would come as well.
I was also planning on visiting him for a different reason, so I'll come for that.
Yeah.
Just like one of those knock, knock, knock door opens, all three of us there.
Yeah. Fireflies turns. He's brewing. He sort of is literally taking a potion off like a burner, and swirls it around, and sort of as it swirls, it glows a little bit green. And he's like, hey, yeah. You're back. That's very. None of you are deceased, are you?
No.
Yeah. Correct. We're with goodies too. And I pull out one of the crystals.
Oh, this is extremely interesting. What is it?
It was a crystal that we found embedded in a creature.
In a crystal creature?
It was a crystal creature.
The creature was
it was also apparently contagious when it was active. It was like glowing when the creature was alive.
And to be clear, it wasn't a creature made of crystal. It was a bear that had crystals embedded in it that were glowing. But the bear seemed to have been perhaps deceased before. I'm not entirely sure. There were humans or humanoids that were certainly deceased with crystals coming out of them.
You're talking about some sort of Terran elemental zombifying virus.
Yes.
That the hands like kept moving after they were chopped off until the big one died.
That is extremely
Seemed
interesting.
to be almost a network.
You see him.
And I'm going to show him my wound. And I'm like, it also bit me. I was worried, but then nothing seemed to happen after we killed the big one. And I'm going to like show him the where it bit me and where I pulled the little bits of crystal out.
That looks fine. Rub some dirt in it.
Good. Just making sure.
You see him like kind of, he examines it for like half a minute before just opening a drawer and unceremoniously putting it in and closing it again.
Yeah. Well, regardless, just
if you find out what it is.
Definitely very interesting if you see more of this. I mean, you're definitely coming up with many earth elemental things.
The cave that we found these in seemed to be almost like it was part of the Ring of Haldoon, but it wasn't. It was far away from it, separated. Perhaps the same type of construction, perhaps the same people constructed it and were maybe moving a piece, or maybe not. It was by a giant
like a big flat piece, like big flat piece
on the top of a mountain.
That too, yeah, and it had more mountain on top of it. Like it wasn't on the top.
It was old. Was
it on the top? Actually, I don't know that. I assumed it wasn't on the very top.
Close to the top.
It was close to the top.
It was sort of like a big hill, not like a true mountain, but yeah.
Okay.
He's
But
just
it
sort
was
of
all-
listens to all of this as you sort of are just like talking at him. Sometimes he nods a bit, sometimes his like half elf ears twitch. Yeah. So you come back for potions?
Yes.
Yes.
I have actually been doing some brewing, Barut. That anti-venom that I created, I've been creating a little bit more of it because you always know that monsters with sharp fangs and venom and it's sort of
Yes, far too familiar with that.
actually fumbles around and picks up 2 more of those small brown liquid vials and will hand them to you. And then it's like, and when it comes to potions of healings, I mean, I have been told that you are going to the yearly feast, always dangerous, and hands you 2 healing potions.
Perfect. And I'll just hold on to those in my bag for now. We can distribute later.
Always dangerous.
Yeah, no, when he says that, Verg's like, hang on, what?
Bruin doesn't blink at that at all. He's just like, yeah, it's a feast. It's going to be dangerous.
It's a yearly feast of Northmen coming together to feast. There is always fights and brawls and jealousies and people sleeping with people they're not meant to, and it's always dangerous.
That sounds like fun.
Oh yes, it's plenty of fun. I've not been since the old Baron died, actually. I know very little about the new Baroness. If you could get me a sample, I would be very interested.
Of the baroness.
I'll work on that.
We'll see what we can do.
And how long ago was it that the old Baron died? And Burroughs
that would be. I'm not so good with dates and times. That would be 6 years ago, somewhere of this sort.
Thank you.
Do you have tools to cut one of those crystals in half very easily?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I'll pull out the second crystal. Feel like I assume you want a piece, Brute?
Yes, please.
Can you cut this in half? Because I want to keep a bit.
Yes. And he'll sort of.
How large is this piece of crystal, by the way?
I'm imagining like pretty chunky. Yeah.
I grabbed off the biggest pieces. I could snap off
Handheld,
in
but
one
not
piece.
like.
Yeah.
obnoxious. Like like if you threw it at someone, it's a D4 improvised weapon.
Thank you. Yeah.
But not
Well,
anymore,
baseball.
because he's gonna cut it in half. He actually takes out what appeared to be crystal-tipped tools, and will
I was going to
chip it.
request that he cut it lengthwise in half.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm fine with
that's fine. He'll do the sort of he'll score it and then chip it, and it'll crack. When it cracks, there's kind of a glow inside, and actually sort of this sort of discordant noise that comes out the room that's weirdly low pitch. And he's like,
Would
"Oh,
I have-
interesting."
Is that something that like we would have? Probably not. I was gonna say that's not something I would recognize. That low pitch.
Yeah, there were a lot of sort of low pitch groaning and magical noises in that cavern.
Yeah,
Ooh, I like it.
that's. But it was similar to the cavern that we were in already. And
What it immediately makes you think of is Terran. You know, Terran is this low pitched language
okay.
by nature. It's kind of an earth elemental thing.
Would this is something I only just thought of. Would this piece, now that it's cut lengthways, be long enough for a short sword or only a dagger? Because I never thought of doing that until you said cut it lengthways.
could be theoretically a short sword if you had someone who could work with it.
And
Oh
you
yeah,
would
no, it's not
probably-
something I plan to do
Wouldn't it
anything
probably
now.
need to be like you'd have a short sword base and it would be like the edging done in the crystal? Because
Yeah.
Either
something-
that or
That's what I was thinking.
with that definitely.
Yeah.
You could have that be done if you found someone who could craft it.
um,
I'll leave it on the burner for later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, always collect random materials that
Yeah,
may be
exactly.
used to create magical items in the future. Considering that's how magical
Exactly.
items work.
That was my thought. Yeah.
Awesome.
I would like to talk to fireflies and like when they're done with the crystals and stuff.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, so I make sure I understand this right, leveling up in your world, does it still follow the same rules? Like you take a long rest? And then it takes you back the
No.
next day?
You are leveled up now.
It happens instantly.
Yeah, essentially, but I usually do it like in between plots.
Yeah. But I mean, just like from a character sense, like, okay.
Yeah. You've leveled up instantly, but you're training and constantly improving and stuff like that.
You might have noticed that last night, instead of doing his usual completely laying down trance, Virik might have been sitting up this time and just sort of, that might be a thing.
That is very different.
Yeah, because what I wanted to ask him about, because I out of character have magic now, but I want to talk to him and just basically be like,
Penny.
Your voice is very different.
Yeah, right. I feel kind of weird. I don't think I'm sick.
That happens to all humans around your age.
No, not that.
I have a book about it somewhere.
Hey,
not this one. This one, you are too young.
Burrow is gonna and say, what do you mean by you feel? What do you mean?
Well, the only way I know how to truly describe it is when we're out in nature, traveling around, and I'm guiding the path. I can always feel in tune with our surroundings, but ever since we came back from that cave, it's like I've connected with our surroundings. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't hurt, but I feel more in tune. I don't know.
I actually understand that. Part of where my magic comes from, apparently, according to the teachings that I was given, it is from my connection with my god, which it might not be quite the case for you, but perhaps your connection with nature is what is giving you that magic, perhaps that sense, that extra level of attunement, but it manifests itself differently. I turn to Fireflies at this point, and I'd say it manifests for you too, doesn't it? But again, differently.
Everyone's magic is different. Some people, it comes from the divine. Some people, it comes from nature itself. You are from this town. I believe if you are being blessed by your gods, then it is one and the same. You have gods of nature, of the world. If they are smiling on you, then they would maybe allow you to see through the ferns and the trees.
So I just gotta think about this for a minute. It says I never really planned on casting magic, if that's what you're talking about. I don't even know how one would go about doing such a thing, but...
Burrow's going to put his hand firmly on your shoulder. Don't worry. We'll help you figure it out.
And thus ends scene. And actually, perfectly in time for our first break. So we will be back in around 5 minutes. Depending on if Penny, Erin's dog, needs attention. We'll be back in a minute.
Bitch.
Wow.